Hello hockey fans, Oddman Rush here and welcome back to another video. Over the last few years, we've looked at several NHL players who have filed for bankruptcy during their respective pro careers. Whether it was Jack Johnson's parents ruining his finances, or Evander Kane's struggles with his gambling debts, some notable NHLers have found themselves in some pretty serious financial situations despite earning millions of dollars in the show. Though this type of predicament doesn't happen nearly as often as it could do given the sizable salaries involved, another NHL player has recently joined this list, as Vegas Golden Knights netminder Robin Lehner filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy just before the new year. But how has this happened? How has Lehner gone bankrupt despite earning over $30 million during his career? Well, let's take a look at his turbulent journey through the NHL and try to find out, shall we? This is the story of Robin Lehner, from millionaire to bankruptcy. Let's start at the very beginning on June 27, 2009, when Swedish goaltender Robin Lehner was drafted 49th overall in the 2009 NHL entry draft by the Ottawa Senators. After spending the following 09-10 season in major juniors, and after registering impressive numbers for the OHL Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, the netminder signed a 3-year entry-level contract with the Senators worth up to $2.7 million. Having signed his first pro contract in the National Hockey League, Lehner would spend the entirety of the deal bouncing between the majors and the minors, as he registered a 41-40-5 record in 93 AHL games, as well as a 9-9-4 record in 25 NHL games too. That said, he did register a save percentage of .935 or higher during his latter two stints in the show, so Lehner had proved that he could hold his own against the best players in the world. Because of this, the goalie would earn another contract with the team, as Ottawa signed Lehner to a 3-year, $6.6 million deal worth $2.2 million a season, bringing his career earnings to approximately $9.3 million. With a sizable raise in his yearly salary, Lehner would spend the next 2 seasons exclusively with the Senators, where the backup netminder / 1B option registered a 21-18-10 record in 61 games during that span. However, after suffering a concussion which shut him down for much of the 15-16 season, Lehner would be shipped off elsewhere before the deal was over, as he was traded to the Buffalo Sabres on June 26, 2015 in exchange for the 21st overall pick in that year's entry draft. Once he had joined the Sabres, Lehner would spend the next 3 years of his career as the team's starting netminder, as he signed a 1-year extension with the franchise worth $4 million on July 25, 2017, once his 3-year deal had expired, bringing his career earnings up to $13.3 million. Though Lehner's stint in Buffalo wouldn't go to plan, since he posted a rather disappointing 42, 61 and 20 record in 133 regular season games, he did post a save percentage of .920 or higher during his first 2 years with the team, so maybe he wasn't the biggest problem on that roster, you know. Despite his strong individual numbers though, Lehner was battling his fair share of demons off the ice, as it was later revealed that the netminder had been suffering from substance abuse issues caused by an undiagnosed mental illness which dated back to his time in Ottawa. He had suffered a panic attack midway through his final game with the Sabres, and he had been sent to a drug rehabilitation facility shortly after the panic attack in order to try and recover from his addictions. With his 1-year extension about to expire, and with him clearly facing a tough road ahead, Buffalo revealed that they would not give Lehner a qualifying offer on June 22, 2018, thus immediately making him an unrestricted free agent. Now, whether the Sabres wanted a fresh face between the pipes after several years of disappointment, or whether Lehner's off-ice troubles were too much for the team to handle, has never really been revealed, but this situation seems like a lose-lose for everybody involved. After all, Lehner had just lost his job as a starting netminder in the NHL, and he had been sent to rehab for some pretty serious personal issues, while the Sabres had underperformed for several years and they needed someone to provide stability in order to help them right the ship. Whether letting Lehner walk was the right decision or not, given the context surrounding the entire situation, the Sabres were damned if they did and damned if they didn't, at least in my opinion anyway. Having become a UFA for the first time in his career, and having spent the off-season recovering in rehab, Lehner would find a team willing to give him a chance, as on July 4th, 2018, he signed a 1-year contract worth $1.5 million with the New York Islanders. While Lehner would reveal that he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and while his openness surrounding his history of addiction would be well received by both Islanders fans and fans around the league, the netminder would repay the team for his opportunity with his greatest year yet, as he posted a 25, 13 and 5 record, a 2.13 goals against average, and a .930 save percentage in 46 regular season games. These numbers would help Lehner earn the William M. Jennings Trophy for allowing the fewest goals that year alongside fellow Islanders netminder Thomas Greiss, as well as also winning the Bill Masterton Trophy for his perseverance, sportsmanship and dedication to hockey following his off-ice issues. Sounds like a pretty good redemption story to me, folks. Once his contract with the Islanders had expired and free agency approached once again, Lehner hoped to remain with New York for the foreseeable future. However, when the two sides were unable to come to terms on a new deal, Lehner would take his talents elsewhere, as on July 1st, 2019, he signed a one-year contract worth $5 million with the Chicago Blackhawks, bringing his career earnings up to $19.8 million. Having made the move to the Windy City, Lehner was eager to help the Blackhawks remain competitive during the early stages of their rebuild and earn a long-term contract with the franchise. Though he would have the highest save percentage of any goaltender in the NHL after the first 2 months of the season, and though he would produce rather abysmal numbers during the shootout, Lehner wasn't too happy with his playing time. Despite going on a hot streak midway through the season by winning 10 of 12 starts, and despite helping the Blackhawks remain in the playoff race despite their intention to go through a rebuild, the goaltender found himself on the bench in favour of longtime Blackhawks netminder and former Stanley Cup champion Corey Crawford. After posting a 16, 10 and 5 record, a 3.01 goals against average, and a .918 save percentage in 33 games with the team, Lehner would be sent packing before the end of the year, as he was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights on February 24th, 2020 as part of a 3-team deal. Having joined his 4th team in the last 3 seasons, Lehner would spend the rest of the year with Vegas and produce strong numbers for the team, as he registered a 3-0-0 record, a 1.67 goals against average, and a .940 save percentage in 3 regular season games. Though he had played minimal ice time for his new team, and though he was relegated to backup duty behind future Hall of Famer Marc-Andre Fleury, Lehner would get his chance during the postseason, as he would steal the crease during the 2020 playoff bubble and posted a 9-7 record, a 1.99 goals against average, and a .917 save percentage in 16 games during that span. Once his one-year contract he had originally signed with Chicago had expired, and having stolen the starting job during the postseason, both Lehner and Vegas were looking to keep their partnership going for quite some time. So much so that on October 3rd, 2020, Vegas signed Lehner to a 5-year, $25 million contract worth $5 million a season, bringing his career earnings to a whopping $44.8 million once this deal is over. So thanks to his consistently strong play over the last few seasons, and thanks to him proving himself as a starter in the league, Robin Lehner had secured the long-term contract he had been looking for, and he was set to remain in Vegas for the next half a decade. Given the struggles he faced only a few years prior, Lehner has bounced back and then some. Since then, Robin Lehner has spent the last 3 seasons playing exclusively for Vegas, and though he has faced his fair share of injury troubles during that span, including a hip injury that forced him to undergo surgery and miss the entirety of the current 22-23 season, the Swedish netminder has produced impressive numbers for the team when he's been healthy, as he has posted a 36, 21 and 4 record in 63 regular season games, a goals against average of at least .283, and a save percentage of at least .907 over the last 2 seasons. Given that he has earned approximately $15 million during that span, he certainly could have done a lot worse for himself, you know. So during the first 13 seasons of his NHL career, Robin Lehner has earned approximately $30.1 million during that span. And that's not including the $10 million left on his contract over the next 2 seasons. The guy will have amassed over $40 million by his 33rd birthday. That's more than most people will see in their entire lifetime, let alone before their mid-30s. Given that he has earned so much during his career, how could Lehner possibly be facing bankruptcy? Well, on January 13th, 2023, it was reported that Lehner and his wife had filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy with the District of Nevada back on December 30th, 2022. According to the public filing, Lehner owed over $27 million to various different creditors at the time, while his own assets had been valued at just $5.2 million, the biggest of which was his Las Vegas home, which is valued at $3.2 million. And who are some of these creditors? Well, according to the bankruptcy filing, the interested parties include the Vegas Golden Knights, Black Knight Sports and Entertainment, the National Hockey League, Newport Sports Management, and Sure Sports Lending. Now, Sure Sports Lending is an agency that, quote, specializes in low-interest, unsecured loans and contract advances to professional athletes, and it's the same company that lent Evander Kane nearly $14 million before his eventual bankruptcy filing in early 2021. So Lehner isn't the first player to borrow money from Sure Sports and have difficulty paying it back. According to the public filing, Lehner's party claims that the goaltender's debts were, quote, primarily based on business debts that were incurred to help obtain money for a business or investment. And while the bankruptcy filing was the first that most people had heard of Lehner's money troubles, it turned out that the netminder was sued in Wisconsin several months before this bankruptcy filing took place. According to reports at the time, both Lehner and his family's company SolarCode had been sued by Eclipse Service Inc. for nearly $4 million in June of 2022 for their failure to repay a business loan. But since Lehner had filed for bankruptcy shortly after, any active litigation has been paused as a result. Given that Eclipse are Lehner's second biggest creditor during these proceedings, the netminder's bankruptcy couldn't have come sooner. I mean, talk about dodging a bullet. So Lehner has racked up over $20 million worth of debt. He has only a quarter of that value to his name. He was sued in court mid last year, and he filed for bankruptcy several months later. Sounds like he's got himself into quite the mess, doesn't it? Now, if you thought this situation was crazy enough already, strap yourselves in, folks, because things are about to take a completely unexpected turn. Within the bankruptcy documents, Lehner is noted as the owner of RL Exotics LLC, a company which operates a reptile farm in Plato, Missouri, which Lehner formed back in 2019 and has an operating business with 3 employees, which requires reptiles to be maintained and fed. According to an article by KMIZ, Lehner was first linked to snakes back in 2017, when he reportedly bought a collection of exotic snakes worth $1.2 million from a man named Ben Rennick. As part of the deal, Lehner would pay quarterly installments of $200,000 to Ben's company Rennick Reptiles. But in June of 2017, Ben was murdered by his wife, who was found guilty of the charges and sentenced to 16 years in prison for her crimes. Following Rennick's death, KMIZ reported that Rennick Reptiles filed a lawsuit against Lehner in 2018 after the netminder had supposedly stopped making payments for the snakes earlier that year. In response, Lehner countersued the company in December of 2018 as he claimed that he had personally taken on millions of dollars in costs due to taking care of Rennick's animals, a collection which Lehner claimed had lost significant value since the reptiles had begun breeding uncontrollably, though Lehner's attorneys didn't specify by how much the value was lost. Then, in July of 2019, Rennick Reptiles claimed that Lehner had stolen a collection of anacondas from their place of business, as well as a collection of ball pythons that the goalie had allegedly refused to pay for, but the lawsuit didn't say how many snakes had supposedly been taken. However, after a year of litigation, the two sides suddenly announced a settlement in November of 2019, as the two parties had reached an agreement in August of that year. Though the terms of this settlement were kept confidential, it is said that both sides wanted for Lehner to complete his purchase of the snakes. So to summarise, Robin Lehner has filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy with debts of over $20 million. He has various different creditors that he needs to pay back, and he went through a lengthy legal battle with a reptile company whose owner was murdered by his own wife. Compared to the other bankruptcies we've looked at on this channel, Lehner's is by far the craziest of the lot. Though news of Lehner's bankruptcy would go quiet for several months, along came another twist in this tale, as on April 5th, 2023, it was reported that Lehner had been accused of fraud by several of his creditors. According to an article from The Athletic, the Aliyah Growth Fund, an investment firm based in Miami and Lehner's top creditor during the bankruptcy filing, has asked the court to require Lehner to pay what he owes them, while credit card company American Express is also alleging fraud in a separate motion to require Lehner to pay his outstanding bills with their company too. As part of their filing, the Aliyah Growth Fund, or AGF for short, claims that they loaned Lehner $4.75 million just 6 weeks before he filed for bankruptcy, and they argue that Lehner failed to disclose that he had already amassed up to 24 separate loans totaling $21 million before his application to AGF, prompting their claims that this loan was acquired under false pretenses. To make matters even worse though, it is also reported that the AGF loan was used to pay off 2 prior loans that Lehner had already acquired. Both the AGF loan and another loan used Lehner's contract with the Vegas Golden Knights as part of the collateral, while American Express are seeking to recover nearly $100,000 after Lehner hired a bankruptcy attorney on December 8th of last year, as well as spending over $60,000 on tropical fish. So yeah, things aren't going too great for him right now. So what happens next? Where do things go from here? Well, at the time of this recording, Lehner's bankruptcy filing is still pretty recent, and there are new developments still coming to light just last week. And since civil proceedings take quite some time to work through, Lehner's case might not be resolved for a while. In fact, things could get a lot worse for Lehner before they get better, as the court recently extended the deadline to file complaints against Lehner until May 22nd, after several creditors requested they do so. So it's unlikely that AGF or American Express will be the last companies to try and get their money back. Given that he's been so open about his personal struggles, and given that he's suffered his fair share of setbacks over the years, I really do hope that Lehner can recover from his hip injury, return to the NHL, and begin paying off his creditors sooner rather than later. After all, while filing for bankruptcy should alleviate some of the financial pressure, he still has quite the mountain to climb before his finances are back in order, especially given the recent developments too. It just goes to show that you can have millions of dollars and be at the top of your game, but a few wrong moves and some pretty bad luck can leave you far worse off than most. And on that note, I'm going to end today's video. That was a look at Robin Lehner's journey from millionaire to bankruptcy. What do you guys think about Lehner's career or his current situation? Do you hope that things work out for him, or was this entire situation a punishment of his making? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I do hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Bexy93, Burned Retinas, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Raquel and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.